Not often in our lifetime do we struggle with how to remember something, but the pandemic, at least for me, has proven to be something that is so vast and complex that I don't even know whether my own experience or the information I've been told is more true. I know just like anyone that 2020 was very, very bad, but I can't claim that my experience aligns with those who lost someone to the virus and disease. So did I not get the real experience of COVID? Instead of answering that, I think it's important to criticize the notion of a real experience in the first place. COVID-19 is a disease. I've never had the disease, so I did not experience COVID at all. But I did experience the pandemic and general stress that comes with one. But again, I want to harken back on the idea that there is no singular correct experience of the pandemic. Now, we often read in news articles or see reporters on TV using the same terminology to talk about the pandemic, so we've really heard about it with the specific lexicon. The most common one I've seen is the comparison of the pandemic to a war. As anthropologist Dr. Martha Lincoln wrote in her article titled On Memory's Battlefield, The Pandemic as Our Next Forgotten War. If we claim the pandemic is a war against a virus, then we are socializing audiences to accept the usefulness and necessity of armed conflict as well as disease control measures. Simply by associating something good like disease control measures with something bad like war, as Dr. Lincoln alludes to, people are conditioned to associate war with being a necessity. The pandemic is not a war though, it is a pandemic. And another topic that Dr. Lincoln discusses is the idea of social memory. When many people read the same major headlines and stories on the news, they begin to associate with them, so much so that their attention span matches the speed of cable news. She brought up the comparison of the tragic events that occurred in New York on September 11, 2001. Dr. Lincoln mentioned that this was news for weeks and even months, but nowadays we get new sensationalist news stories every single day. In fact, it has become the normal. This can affect how we remember major events in our lives. If every event is treated as the most important thing since sliced bread, then we won't be able to distinguish what is really important from what is simply interesting at that time. So, how do we remember the pandemic? Well, first, make sure you safeguard your own experience so you don't replace your real memories with what you've been told. Maybe even document it. That's what I've been doing. Also, before you go, make sure you do get vaccinated if you can. Thanks to Dr. Millage for 2 amazing classes on the pandemic during the pandemic. Anyway, thanks for listening.